Ogoula Tchetoka, the westernmost of that tight cluster of Chickasaw villages which had been pulled in because of French pressure. At that time, the French army thought that they were going to capture those cabins with the food that it contained so that they could hold that spot until Bienville arrived with his army. Because of bad communication, probably the Chickasaws captured the instructions coming from the south, and the army in the north didn't know that they were supposed to delay. Well, unfortunately, D'Artaguette didn't know that the delay had occurred. And so he was on his march from Chickasaw Bluffs, where Memphis is today, into the Chickasaw Nation when he received the word that Bienville was delayed and wouldn't arrive until the end of May. Well, this is maybe March the 25th. Well, he's got 400 Indians he's got to feed. He's got enough provisions for his 150 Frenchmen, but he doesn't have enough provisions for 400 Indians, which he's got to have. He knows he needs the manpower. And so the Indians say, who had scouted out the thing, this village out west has a storage facility with every cabin. Let's capture that cluster of cabins and we'll have enough food to make it until your other army arrives. Made sense. The only problem was that the Chickasaws knew they were coming. On the morning of Good Friday, March 29th, 1736, they began their attack to capture those cabins. But what they didn't know was that Mingo Uma, the war chief of the Chickasaw Nation, had his men prepared and in place. As the French approached, they opened fire on the French, and of course the French marched in ranks and fired their guns in ranks. And so as they moved forward, Mingo Uma had brought in all the rest of his warriors, particularly the Natchez, to the north of them. And so when he had them in full fire from his own troops, that group from the north flanked in on them. And the Indians broke and ran, and it left the little French army of maybe 125 men completely isolated, and they fought bravely. But the trouble was, as the Chickasaws always fought the French, they were shooting the officers. And D'Artaguette got shot in the leg, got 3 fingers shot off, finally got shot in the stomach. That's what brought him down. And as a result, by that time they had fallen back far enough to where they were with their reserves, and they tried to put him on a horse and get him away, but he wouldn't go. He wanted to stay with the men, and so they overwhelmed that little army, surrounded them, captured 22 of them. They promptly built 4 large bonfires and marched all but 3 of those men into those bonfires.